what a game. And let me tell you guys right now, it's 1:33 in the morning. So I got to keep it down a little bit. Everybody's sleeping. But man, Escobar single-handedly beat the Padres tonight. What a game by the Mets. Just this team, this hitting lineup is absolutely amazing. You know, if you get Escobar now, adding him to the mix with everybody else who's hitting, including Lindor, obviously Alonso, and even Nito now's hitting. I mean, this is a scary team. Now, before we get into the offensive explosion that happened tonight, much props to Carlos Carrasco for coming in and pitching a solid game. Did a wonderful job. I mean, these are the kind of things you look for. You know, when you see a team that has some of their top players out injured, you look for other people to step up. And we always knew that Carlos Carrasco was a talented pitcher. Obviously, he's a little older now. He's not what he was years ago, but he still delivers solid pitching. And tonight was a prime example of why he's so valuable to the Mets now, especially with Scherzer and DeGrom down. So, yeah, I mean, this was an amazing game for a multitude of reasons. Not only a great pitching performance by Carlos Carrasco, but also because of what the offense did. In particular, Eduardo Escobar was finally woken up. The bat is alive now, and now we see what he's capable of. This guy's a good hitter, and but let's go over everything as quick as possible because I have to work in the morning, and it's already 1:30 in the morning right now. So Carrasco came in, 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, struck out 10. And I mean, you can't ask for anything more. From one of your pitchers. But on the offensive side, the Mets once again just respond. Every time a team scores, the Mets have this thing like 90% of the time so far this year. They just answer the following inning. They're such a scrappy team. Best thing was in the first inning right away, right off the bat, they just take Snell and they put him into a corner. I think he pitched through like 40 pitches or something like that in the first inning, and the Mets scored 3 runs. Once again, 2 out clutch hitting, and this is what makes this team amazing. They're just relentless. I mean, I can't imagine a pitcher having to deal with that on a regular basis. So we had a lot of walks in the first inning. We had Davis walked with the bases loaded. The Mets scored. Then, excuse me, this was one of Escobar's first hits, which was a RBI single, 2 RBI single, and the ball was rolling up 3-0. And just sporadically throughout the game, the Mets kept peppering the Padres, but the Mets come out in the top of the 9th and put up 4 more runs to make it 11-5. And in this inning was a historic moment. Eduardo Escobar at this point was 3 for 4. He had already had 4 RBIs, a 2-run home run that the ball was not flying out of that ballpark tonight. There were a couple of swings from the Mets, especially one from, I remember, McNeil, that you would think were going to go out, and they did not. In fact, they looked like they just died. But the one that Eduardo Escobar hit was just a bomb. I'm talking like this ball was just, and it flew, and it cleared the fence pretty well. I'm talking about 10 or 15 rows back. So he just got a hold of it really well. And he comes into this last at bat 3 for 4, 1 triple away from the cycle. And wouldn't you know it, he was down in the count 1-2, and he pops the ball to the opposite side, down the line, into the corner, and he busted around the bases, got his triple, and Eduardo Escobar hits for the cycle, triple, double, single, home run, drove in 6 runs tonight. And suddenly, this is a scary situation for most teams because you have a team right now, and it's funny, if you saw my video earlier today, I mentioned how the catcher position on the lineup seems to be the weakest point. Yet, Nito is starting to hit. Nito's got his batting average up to 261 now. He was 2 for 4 tonight, and he himself had an RBI. So if you get Nito starting to hit, and then Escobar's finally breaking out of his slump, and everybody else continues to do what they do, I mean, even some of the best pitchers are going to struggle preventing this team from scoring at least 3 to 4 runs because they are tenacious at making the pitcher work. They're tenacious about getting on base. And the amazing thing now is that they can score with small ball. They can score with doubles, home run. They're starting to hit a lot of home runs now. The Mets in the beginning of the season did not hit that many home runs. Suddenly, they're only like 12 or 13 home runs ahead of the Padres, and the Padres, I think, are like 14th. So they're not like even in the top 10, I don't think the Mets are. But they are progressively starting to hit a lot more home runs, and I expect Escobar to hit at least 25 this year, minimum. But him and Lindor are more than capable of hitting 30 home runs in the low 30s. And, I mean, Alonso's on a pace to hit 40 plus. So, I mean, when you think about that, that's the kind of power you need, you know? This club is something else. I didn't, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I expected them to come in and lose this game. You know, you never know how the game's going to go. But the way they win sometimes, the way things are happening right now for this team, you get a sense that there's something really special going on. And I've seen a lot of great Met teams. You know, the 86 team I got to see firsthand. You know, went to a couple of ball games that year. In fact, I went to the ball game where the Mets recorded that music video that year. So that was fun. You know, you got the team from the late 90s when Piazza arrived. You got the team with Beltran and Delgado, you know, the 2015 Cinderella team. But this team is the first team that I've seen that the lineup is just tenacious. They remind me a lot, actually, of the Royals from 2015. Like, the Royals were just a pain in the ass to get out. And no matter how good your pitching was, they just found a way to tap the ball, you know? And, of course, that Royals team beat a very young and talented Mets pitching staff that year in the World Series. This team reminds me a lot of that, except with a little bit more power. And that's a scary thought. You know, when you face a team that can beat you with small ball and beat you with the long ball, that's trouble. And then on top of that, their pitching. You look at, you know, Carrasco once again tonight. Now, don't get me wrong. Right now, the Padres are not the most offensive threat in the league. They're one of the weaker hitting teams. Tatis Jr. is still out. Their only real threat is Machado. And I would argue Cronenworth, but he's struggling this year so far. So, and then Luke Vogt he does have, obviously he has power. He had a 3-run blast tonight, but again, he's also struggling. So really it's only Machado that's the threat. So, but even still, it's, you still go out there and you expect your pitchers to deliver and do the job. And Carrasco's been doing that a lot lately. I mean, he is 7-1. He's 7-1 right now. He's got an ERA of 3.52. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. You know, those are number 2, number 3 pitcher stats in the rotation. Meanwhile, he's like the number 4 pitcher in this rotation, you know, behind Bassett and then what would be Scherzer and DeGrom. So an impressive win tonight. Congratulations to Eduardo Escobar. I mean, he needed that. And now I'm really excited to see this whole team clicking on all cylinders like a well-oiled machine in that lineup. I mean, so far these guys are staying healthy in the lineup. Let's hope it stays that way. Had a couple of scares with Nemo and of course Lindor, but they're both back. You know, Nemo had a hit tonight. Lindor had a quiet night, but he also had a hit. Same thing with Alonso. Alonso had a quiet night, but he had a hit. This was all Escobar tonight, and I think you're going to see him move up in the lineup again. Yeah, I think Buck is probably going to put him back behind Alonso now that he's found his stroke. And can you imagine now? If Eduardo consistently starts hitting again, you know, like this hot streak, if it continues, he'll cool off. But I mean, if he maintains some sense of consistency to protect Alonso, I can only imagine what that's going to do for Alonso. I mean, honestly, because, you know, with Escobar behind Alonso, they're going to put either McNeil or Kana or J.D. Davis, who once again had a hit tonight with 2 RBIs. I mean, he's hot. Anyone they put behind Escobar, this whole lineup just protects each other. And Nito is really starting to step up. And there's a good chance you could start seeing him take the reins and as the regular starting catcher, as opposed to flip-flopping. So, because if he keeps hitting, Buck's going to keep him in there. This is you know, I'm going to do some other videos talking about the Mets in general. I got a lot of things I want to talk about. Like I said in my video earlier today, I've been waiting for the Mets to get on this West Coast road trip to see how they perform before I really come out here and start doing videos about them, because again, I'm that kind of Met fan that I've always been a little skeptical. I've had a lot of painful seasons where you thought the teams were going to do good and they never did. And, you know, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat in the early part of the season with the, you know, the Phillies, the Nationals, things of that nature. But it's not until you put them up against some of these tough West Coast teams that you get an idea of just how good this team is. And I got to say, they are so far in this trip exceeding my expectations. So, you know, we're going to talk about a lot of things outside of just these post-game review / thoughts. But this was a great win tonight. This was a great game for Eduardo Escobar. And this is just a real, so far, this is a special team. I'm not saying it's the best team they've ever had. I still think the 86 team is probably the best team, but there is something different about this team from every other Met team that I've seen. Even as far down as even the camaraderie between the guys, everybody looks like they just click with each other, which is tough to do, when you're putting a team together. You got a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, but this team just looks like they're selling out for each other. And whatever Buck Showalter sold them when he first came in, man, kudos to him, you know. And I got to give props also to the hitting coach. I mean, he's just been phenomenal. He's turned this whole team around in terms of hitting and making them more consistent at the plate. So a lot of good things happening for the Mets right now, and we just got to hope it continues to happen. You know, I'm not expecting the season to be all roses. I mean, they're going to have some struggles in the dog days of summer that are coming when we hit July. But for the most part, they've been very consistent, and they're probably the best they're definitely the best offense in the National League, probably one of the top offenses in baseball altogether. So, but anyway, look, we'll definitely talk a lot more about the Mets, especially for, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of people most people who watch this video are going to be new to the channel, because my channel's been built mostly on like other forms of entertainment. If you see the videos there, you see a lot of MonsterVerse videos, Godzilla videos, movies, and all that. But I've always wanted to talk about the sports teams that I like primarily, just because sports is part of entertainment. And I'm glad to, you know, if you're new to the channel and you're a Met fan, hit the subscribe button, man. And as that portion of that audience grows on my channel for the Mets and the other teams that I follow, we'll start doing more like interactive type of content where I'll do a live stream here and there so I can talk to you guys directly. I do that a lot with some of the other viewers on my channel. But for now, let's just keep these videos going. And if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Hit the sub button. We have a lot more to talk about. Very excited about this team, and there's a lot of things I want to discuss outside of just doing post-game videos. So anyway, guys, that's it for this. I got to get to bed, and you guys have a good night. Let's go Mets. Fantastic win, and look forward to more of this. So you guys have a good night. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news. We just talk entertainment. Take it easy.